Hey guys, Matt Allen here. Welcome back to Tactical Bassin. This evening we are going out Senko fishing. We've got a handful of baits rigged differently. We're gonna go out here, see if we can get these summer bass to bite. As we go, I'll talk to you about the different sizes, styles, how we're rigging them, and why we're making the decisions we're making. Should be a fun evening. Come along. Now, I don't know if you can hear the wind blowing like I can, but I suspect it's going to be rough out here on the main lake. Back here in the backwaters, slick, calm, beautiful, but that main lake is going to be blowing. So we're gonna have to travel quite a ways to where we're gonna be fishing. As we're idling out of here, let me walk you through the rigs that we're gonna be starting with. We've got two Senkos rigged up to start. One is a 5-inch, rigged on a wide gap hook, so just Wacky rigged. Stuck right through the middle of the bait. With the 5-inch, well, with any Senko, I always prefer to start with some version of green pumpkin. Green pumpkin black flake is my #1 Senko. However, it's also a lot of other people's favorite Senko. So I tend to branch out now more than I used to. So for my 5-incher, I'm throwing green pumpkin red flake, just keeping it simple. And then that's on a 1/0 EWG wide gap hook. Now for the 6-inch bait, I'm still green pumpkin, but one of my favorite options, again, trying to just branch out a little bit, be different than the next bait coming down the line. I really like throwing that green pumpkin watermelon laminate. So that's where I'm gonna start. 6-inch Senko, rigged on a super line 4/0 hook. And like every video, we'll link you all the gear down in the video description, but again, we're just idling out of here, so trying to give you the basics of what we're going to be throwing. I'm gonna try the 5-inch and the 6-inch. The value of that 6-inch on the Texas rig, I can reach a lot farther back in the reeds and the tules if those fish are drawn in. The value of that Wacky rig is I can fish on the front. It's got less hook in it, plus the 5-inch Senko itself falls slower naturally, so I'm gonna get a much slower fall on lighter line. It's more natural. It's more finessey. I'm more likely to get bit if those fish are out on the front. Now, Clear Lake right now is clearer than normal. It really is a clear lake. Typically, this place is pretty murky. So these fish are a little bit smarter than normal. So we might have to change colors and adapt, go to something lighter in shade, go to a really, really natural color, maybe a shad color. I'm also gonna throw a frog, and then building on that same premise, because the water is so clear, these frogfish have been smart lately. So I picked up some of these Jackal Kayara frogs, Kayara, however you want to say it. Again, we'll link it. I have literally never thrown this frog. We're gonna throw it together tonight. I just tied it on. It's a smaller frog, really pretty shad color. Should walk extremely well. It's a little bit smaller. It's a little more natural. I'm guessing in this clear water where they can see it really well, I'll get a bunch of action on that frog too. We're gonna focus on the Senko, but this time of year, I have to throw a frog. I just have to. And then last but not least, in the event that we do really well this evening and we're getting a ton of fish, I also brought bigger baits. Two baits we're gonna go to is a 7-inch Senko, or a 7-inch, this is actually a fat ace, not a Senko. It's a bait that we threw a lot down in Mexico earlier this year, and I really like that bait as a substitute to a Senko, or that great big Magnum, the 10-inch Magnum stick bait. Both of those are options. If we get a bunch of play, I'm gonna immediately switch over to those, see if we can get a really good one. We'll see. We're almost out to the main lake. I don't know if you can see it around the corner there. There are definitely some big old roller whitecaps out there, but it doesn't look too bad, so we should be able to run to the areas that I want to Senko fish. Let's go. Well, that was a fun boat ride. We started running up lake, but we had about 10 or 15 miles to go to get to where I wanted to go, and that was just not gonna happen. So we flipped a U-turn. I actually forgot to strap my net, so my fray bill is now at the bottom of the lake. That's how we're starting our evening session here. But it's all good. It's a little rough. It's not bad, but it's choppy. It's tough with a weightless Senko. We're gonna go for it anyway. I suspect we're gonna get into some fish. We'll know soon enough. Let's start fishing. So what we're actually going for here, is fish that are pulling up against cover. We're in pretty shallow water. There's a lot of grass, especially with the clear water. The grass has really developed this year. The last couple of weeks, it's been really hot. High 90s into low hundreds every day. Water temp is 81 degrees. So the fish that have gone shallow are going to pull all the way up into cover, all the way up into shadows. So we're going around docks, fish in the pilings, fish in the shadow edges, the dark corners. And we're also throwing up along the tules, the reeds, and up under willow trees. Anywhere that we can reach a shadow in water that warm, a lot of times those fish are gonna sit in the shade and then ambush feed. They're gonna jump out and eat something as it moves by, or a bait like a Senko that comes in and lands on top of them, they'll just scoop it up. Doesn't require a lot of effort for them. When it starts getting this hot, it's almost like winter where these fish, they're struggling to survive. Just like when that water's really cold, they don't want to move around. If the water gets too hot, they don't want to move around. So middle of the day, high sun, high heat, warm water, shadows are a great option. That's what made this Senko such a good choice. Now, I'm not sure it's such a good choice when we've got these waves rolling through here, but we're gonna keep trying. All right. Now we're talking. That one went for the 6-inch Senko. The benefit of that larger 6-inch Senko in these windier conditions is just that the bait itself has a lot more weight. It wants to sink a little bit quicker. You can maintain better contact with the bottom. You have better feel. That 5-inch drifts around a lot unless you're fishing very specific targets. Because obviously line watching is not an option when you've got ripple on the water. So you've really got to be able to feel even with that weightless bait. Now, of course, you could add a weight to a 5-incher. You could either put a little Texas rig weight on there. I'm drifting in here pretty bad. I'm gonna have to jump up in a second. Or do something like a Wacky sack, which if you've never seen that, we'll link that in the video description. But you've got options, but normally I just go to a 6-incher to start and see if they'll eat it. I got blasted. Well, I might like that new frog. That's that little jackal. That guy choked it. He was right up shallow. The grass got a little too thick to throw the Senko. That's why I like to always have a frog on deck this time of year, even when I'm on another pattern, to pitch it in those holes and pockets where nothing else will reach. It paid off again. Little bit smaller fish. I dropped down to that 5-inch Senko. Finally got away from a grass line. Got clean water out here on the front of these tules, which is what we wanted to fish up lake. Where we've got a good wall of tules like this, but then no grass in front, just a hard line. That's where that Wacky rig really comes into play. So you can pitch that edge, fall right down. I can go with lighter line, lighter rod, smaller hook, and still get those fish and then get them out away from it, and you're fine. This is what we were looking for up there. I'm glad we finally found a section of it down here. Hopefully we can get some more bites. Nice one. Too much fun. In some ways it's good that we got confined to this area that we're in here. We really got our hand forced, and we've got to play the cards that we're dealt. As we're moving down the bank, I'm getting sections with no grass, sections with a little bit, sections that are completely grassed in, and we're adapting, switching between the baits. We haven't had to add any baits to the arsenal. I could probably pick up a punch rod and get one, but I'm having a good time between that little Kiara frog, the 5 and the 6-inch Senko. We're getting some action here, and I suspect if we keep going, we'll keep getting them. Was supposed to be a Senko thing, but I can't say no to a frog. Neither could he. That one was completely in open water. I wasn't even looking. Just came out and grenaded it. All right, it looks like the water is laid down a little bit out on the main lake. So we're gonna run up, see if we can duck into a canal or a backwater, wrap it up with a little bit faster paced bite, hopefully. We'll see. Cleaned me off. Cleaned it. Now that we're getting into this calmer water, I can start line watching. Essentially what that is, when you're throwing a Senko, that weightless bait has such a slow fall, there's not a lot of feel to it. There's not a lot of feedback. So you throw that bait out there, when it starts falling, you leave your slack laying on the water and you just watch it. And if you pay attention, you'll see that line jump or move when a fish picks it up. And then you swing, you don't have to wait to feel them. That's a really nice option if you're using less expensive equipment, because you don't have to feel anything. You just watch for a fish to bite. You'll see it in the line. This is not a bad first day with this little frog. That frog is stuck. There we go. Too much fun. All right, guys, I think we're gonna wrap it up here. It's been a fun evening. We got dealt pretty tough hand with the conditions, but we rolled with the punches. Threw the 5-inch Senko Wacky rigged, 6-inch Texas rigged, and a smaller frog in this cleaner than normal water, and it worked. No giant kicker fish, but a lot of fun. Hope you guys enjoyed coming along. If you did, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. We'll talk to you soon.